Hello friends, welcome back. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the seepage analysis and also Laplace equations, and also we have discussed about the flow nets, flow fields, flow channels, and also we have discussed about the flow lines, and also we have discussed about the equipotential lines. And in the present lecture, we will discuss about the how to determine the seepage, right? And also we will determine the how to determine the seepage pressure, and also we'll define uplift pressure, and also we will study about the exit gradient also. Okay. For that, let us assume that I am considering uh, four flow lines. Let us say flow line 1, flow line 2, flow line 3, and also flow line 4. Okay, let us assume that the flow has started at this point. For the equipotential lines, I'm drawing it on the blue pen. Let us say this is phi 1, and this is nothing but a second potential line phi 2, and this is nothing but a third potential line phi 4. Okay, and now see here how the flow will happen. Flow will happen. I'm representing with another ring. Flow will happen always parallel to the flow lines, and there will not be any flow across the flow line. So how can I find out the total seepage? How can I find out the total discharge Q? I can say it as a C. What are the flow happen between the two flow lines? So in between these two flow lines, there may be some discharge Q1. Similarly, in between these two, some discharge. In between these two, some discharge Q3. So what about the total discharge? I will say it as a Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Okay. First, I will find out what is the discharge that is happening through any two flow lines. After that, I will find out for the entire flow lines. So let us say how to find out what is the flow first happening between the Xi1 and Xi2. So in general, how can you find out the discharge? That is nothing but a K into I into A, right? What about higher head loss, isn't it? Let us assume that if I keep my piezometer here, the water limit level may be rise up to this point. Similarly, if I keep my piezometer here, my water table level is rising up to this point. So what about the I? I is nothing but a head loss that is happening between these two flow lines. Let us assume that the head loss happening between the flow lines is delta H. And let us assume that the length of the flow line is L. Okay. Then what about the A? Let us assume that we are considering the unit width. Then what about the area? Area we will write it down as a B into 1. So for isotropic medium, as I am discussing, we'll consider that L equal to B. Then what about the discharge between any two flow lines? That is will be written as K into delta H, isn't it? So what is meant by delta H? Delta H is nothing but a loss of head between any two potential lines. So here how many loss of heads is there? Flow is started from here to here, one loss of head, from here to here, and loss of head. So from this, how can I find out the total delta H? That is nothing but a, if H is the total head loss divided by ND. ND is nothing but a number of potential drops, not equipotential lines. ND is nothing but a number of potential drops. That means from here to here, one head drop is there, and from here to here another head drop is there. So total how many? 2. But how many equipotential lines? Total 3. So 3 minus 1, that is nothing but a potential drops. But here we have to, this is the flow happening between any two flow lines. But what is the flow happening in the entire flow lines? That is nothing but a, let us say that Q is nothing but a seepage happening through the soil. That I will say it is nothing but a delta Q is nothing but a flow between any two flow lines multiplied by the NF. What is meant by NF here? NF is nothing but a number of flow channels. So in the present example, how many flow channels we have considered? First flow channel, second flow channel, third flow channel. So in this case, three flow channels. That means in this case, 3 into delta Q. So what about your total discharge? That is nothing but a K is nothing but a permeability into head is nothing but a total head loss into NF divided by ND. And remember that why we are not using capital Q here, why it isn't small q. Q is nothing but a discharge per unit width. We'll say it as a discharge per unit width. And you already know what is K, permeability of the soil. What is H? Nothing but a head loss, total head loss. What about NF here? NF is nothing but a number of flow channels. And what about ND? Number of potential drops. NF, I can say it as a number of flow lines minus 1. Number of flow lines minus 1. In this example, how many flow lines you can say? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many flow channels? 3. That means if you know number of flow lines minus 1, that is nothing but a number of flow channels. How can I find out ND? That is nothing but a number of potential lines or equipotential lines minus 1. So by using this relation, we can find out the seepage per unit weight for an isotropic medium. Okay. Now, how can I find out the seepage pressure? Okay. Now, let us assume that what is meant by seepage pressure. If we know the seepage head, then we can find out the seepage pressure. Seepage pressure is normally P subscript S. Then how can I find out? That is nothing but a gamma W into H. Right? As I am talking about the seepage pressure, here I am just writing with HS. What is the unit? Here it is nothing but a Newton per meter cube. If you are representing with meter, then what is the unit? Newton per meter square. That is what nothing but a unit of pressure. So here, let us consider these are nothing but a flow lines, and let us imagine these are nothing but equipotential lines. So let us say that the flow is starting from here and the flow is ended at this point. Okay, now from this point, at this point, let us say that the total availability is capital H. So here I am writing total head, that is nothing but a capital H. So as the flow is happening through the soil, the head loss will happen. So at each point, what is the head available? That is what nothing but a seepage head. So there will be some loss of head between these 2 points. There will be some loss of head between these two, and also there will be some loss of head between these. So what is the head available at each and every point, right? So how can I find out the drop? That means from here to here, how many drops are there? Here to here, how many drops? Here to here, how many drops? So how can I find out? That is nothing but a total head loss is H divided by number of potential drops. This is what nothing but your delta H. This is what nothing but a loss of head between any two potential lines. That means from this potential line to this potential, what is the loss of head? This one. That means if we observe here, the flow between any two flow lines is same, that is nothing but a delta Q. Similarly, the loss of head between any two potential lines is also same, delta H and delta H. So from here to here, how many drops are there? One drop. That means how much head loss? Delta H. So what is the head available? From the total head, we have to subtract this value. That implies how can I find out my head available? That is nothing but a total head minus, here I will say n into delta H. If I want to find out head loss available at this, what is the head available at this point? How many drops are there? Only one. So for this, my n is equal to 1. If I want to find out at this point how many drops are there, 1 2, so here at this point I have to use 2, at this point I have to use 3. So wherever you need, first you have to find out small delta h. After that, depending upon the point where you have to find out the head available, then multiply by the n value. So this is how we will find out the seepage pressure. Next, and also we have to find out the exit gradient, that we will represent it with I subscript exit. The first question is why we have to find out the exit gradient, because if we exit gradient, if it is not within the permissible limit, then there might be, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, previous chapter, there might be a possibility that piping can occur. So this exit gradient should always be within the limits to prevent the piping. So at the exit point, whatever the head loss is there, that means whatever the head loss at the exit point divided by length at the exit point, that is what nothing but your exit hydraulic gradient. So after evaluating this, if we make sure that if this is within the permissible limit, then we can say that piping will not occur through the soils. Okay, this is what about the seepage analysis. That means we have found out how to determine the seepage, how to determine the exit gradient, and also we have seen how to determine the seepage pressure. Okay, in the next lecture we will discuss some of the problems whatever the theory we have discussed now. Thank you.